Welcome back to Puffery, a fresh perspective on why Adventura. I'm Nicole Knobel, and I'm happy to welcome you guys back to our treasure hunt, where the map is forged after we've arrived, and the treasure is always banded by the ADV shield. Today's episode, titled Roots and Rituals, we're going to break down the Swiss precision portion of our Swiss Precision and Dominican Passion tagline. So grab your favorite ADV blend, get comfy, and join me as we uncover the roots and rituals of ADV. Now, maybe not everyone knows this, but Adventura was actually born here in Switzerland, in the tiny, quaint town of Altendorf, which translates to Old Town. We're about 20 minutes outside of the city of Zurich. And I'm excited to spill the tea on how Swiss precision is a real thing and what role it played in the accidental birth of Adventura Cigars. Before ADV, Marcel was and still is a retailer. His focus was on a specific region and style of cigars that were very popular here, and he specialized in some difficult-to-find blends as well. But after a few years, he was ready to widen his periphery and learn what else the world of cigars had to offer. And he became the fuel of every entrepreneur's business. Curious, what other blending styles are there and tobacco combinations? Who are the players? How can I have a hand in the process to not just offer a wider variety, but further reach and teach my guests what they are smoking and why? Marcel is a student for life. We covered that in the last episode. And he's always been fascinated with the simplicity, but also the complexity that goes into the artisanship of the most sought-after handmade products. So along with tobacco, Marcel also studied wine and winemaking and happens to be a sommelier. So he's very familiar with terroir and how the soil and where the vines are planted lend to a certain flavor profile. He's super familiar with the grape varieties and the fermentation process, and knows that all of those things shape the character. And then the age, of course, and what really differentiates one producer to the next. So the parallels between winemaking and cigar making are pretty cool, and one that Marcel was, of course, very fascinated with. His mom was a wine producer, so from a young age, he already was exposed and conditioned to, being interested in these kinds of things. So he decided the next step, after taking the time to learn all about it, taste it, and test it, was to go down and see where it all happens. And that's where his idea for a house blend for his retail store here came to mind. Now, before we go any further in the story, let's unpack the Swissness a little. Okay? Never have I ever visited or now lived in a more smoker-friendly culture. I'm not just talking about cigarettes. Cigars are a prevalent way of life here. And like I said in the episodes before, so many restaurants have dedicated lounges to join after dinner for a cigar and a drink. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And if you aren't able to smoke inside, like I said before, you can definitely smoke outside. And in fact, Marcel just did an event with one of our biggest supporters here in Switzerland. Shout out to Portman. And they rented the entire restaurant out and did a tasting with 4 cigars, actually, paired with the meal. And they were able to smoke inside the restaurant. I know, crazy. I'm sure there are places like that exist in the US, but I can't think of any that will close down their entire restaurant to the general public and let a group of smokers come in and have a catered event with a producer. Pretty friggin' cool. The population of Switzerland is approximately the same size as the population of New York City. So yes, an entire country where all the residents could fit into the largest American city. Pretty crazy to think about. Now get this. With a population of about 8.8 million people now, Switzerland imports over 12 million premium cigars a year. So to say this is a smoking culture is quite obvious, right? Other cool thing about Switzerland, they have 4 national languages here. Swiss German, Italian, French, and Romansch, which sounds like a mashup of German and Italian. We live in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, but Swiss German, may I explain to you, that is absolutely not German. The base of the language is German, but it is not proper High German. It also doesn't even happen to be a written language. So if you want to move here and learn it, good luck. It's more like baptism by fire or being taught to swim by being shoved into the deep end. I really found comfort in knowing that even the Germans say that they have a hard time understanding Swiss German when they first move here. So yeah, I've been working on it, but it takes some time. And almost every region has a specific dialect, okay? So imagine if Boston, New York, Chicago, and Alabama were all 20 minutes apart from each other. So you go one way and you hear that soothing southern drawl, thick as molasses, and then you go the opposite direction, and you're not sure if someone is asking, where are your car keys or where are your khakis? Sorry, Bostonians. But that is bananas for me to think about. And what I learned from studying High German is that the German language has grammar, but the English language has words. Meaning that in German, and again, please, guys, this is simply my opinion that's formulated after only my personal experience, okay? But in German, you can only explain exactly what you mean, which in many ways I know is a good thing, okay? But in English, we have so many ways to describe varying degrees of the same damn thing. And sarcasm is a way easier thing to throw around in English than it is in German. P.S. If you DM us on Facebook, I am really sorry about the automatic reply that you receive in German. I have no idea how to turn that off. And Marcel somehow started it when we first launched, and he has no idea how to turn it off. So just know I'm going to get back to you eventually in English, but sorry. Okay. The cool thing about moving to another country is you get to observe as an outsider, but with an inside position. And I moved to Switzerland 5 years ago. And it wasn't until I moved here and I realized you don't just pop over to Home Depot and YouTube your way through a bathroom renovation because your husband is gone for a long weekend. Nope, nope, and nope. That was a painful and very expensive lesson learned. But the craftsmanship is pretty incredible here. Like, it's not really a crapshoot when you hire somebody to do tile work here. There's like the Swiss way, and then there's the wrong way. No, but really everything is made out of concrete. And the tiles, they don't just pop off the wall like I'd hoped. Like, what do the Swiss have against drywall? Okay, I know they're like earthquake and everything natural disaster ready, but this was bad news bears for me, guys. And my idea of like safety wear for this kind of light job was to find the biggest pair of sunglasses that I had and wear a long sleeve and cover-toed shoes. And guys, please understand this project that I wanted to do, I just wanted to pop off a few decorative tiles and replace them with new ones. I just wanted to like chisel my way off and like, you know, but the chisel, that for sure was not cutting it. So then I went for the tile saw. And I thought by cutting little X's into the tiles would somehow make them pop off easier. And like the dust, the amount of dust, that was... Okay, so that was it. I can't even express how bad it was, okay? But I'm sure you can imagine. And I went to like the next phase of like avoid dust at all costs. I could not believe like the amount of dust in my hair from using a tile saw. This is insane. But I'm going to pop in a picture right now if you guys are watching this to see my level of preparedness that I went to. And if you're listening, just imagine hazmat suit. So yeah, the Swiss, they build things a little differently here. And I feel like their motto is like build once and it will last 3 lifetimes. Like even if you want to hang a picture on a wall, you better have a drill with a bit that goes through concrete. And in a way, of course it's good because it guarantees that you always have to call a professional. And everything is done very professionally in that case. But it really stifles my impulse to change design in the house. Swiss precision at its finest, I guess. Okay, so back to the house blend. Once the decision was made, Marcel set off to the land of milk and honey without having the intention in creating an actual brand. Marcel knew that the Dominican Republic stood as a cornerstone in the global cigar industry, and what originated as an intention of gaining more insight, a hands-on approach, and something that he could sell from and speak to from personal experience would birth something that we could have never imagined. Now, imagine how hard it must be to go down to a country where both parties have to speak a learned language to discuss, convey, and eventually agree upon something in exchange for dollars and services. But this is the beauty of cigars, isn't it? They speak a universal language and reveal common ground. And for Marcel, not just the great cigar provided that common ground, but experiencing a certain familiarity by having a well-organized operation, a polite staff, an extremely clean factory made Marcel feel very at home when he visited Tabacalera William Ventura for the first time. But it was also sprinkled with this very languid, no rush, the day is long, we have time kind of mentality. And in a seemingly rigid culture for the Swiss, that's a pretty welcomed pace to follow for sure. And after explaining to Henderson what could be a popular profile for the Swiss market, Henderson jumped up and said, "I'll be right back." He came back and he handed over a new blend that he had been working on and thought could be interesting to start their business relationship. Now, when I say he just handed over the cigar, this wasn't just like, here, try this. This was a ritual of sitting in those well-known rocking chairs, seeing the galera, having the coffee served to you with just the right amount of sugar, and that feeling of that warm hospitality and of every hand that took part in all 152 steps to create a single cigar for a single experience. And we like to think of it as you smoke to either pass the time, remember a time, or to stop it in its tracks. And for sure, that's something worth sharing, right? But the blend Henderson handed over, that's the Explorer. And Marcel fell in love. And while testing vitolas for the Swiss market, Henderson asked, "Why don't you do a box press? It creates a different taste and a variation on the blend, and it could be cool for your customers, so, And Marcel immediately said, no on the box press. And Henderson was like, okay, why not? It does really well in other markets. What's the deal? And, weird for such a strong market to show almost no interest in that style of cigar. Marcel said, "The Swiss in particular are not fans of box press cigars. Why? Because it reminds them of a sausage that we have here called Landjäger, which translates into country hunter. Don't ask me why the hell a sausage, or Wurst as we call it, it's box pressed. I'm sure it's not intentionally box pressed. I don't know why the hell it's box pressed, but yeah, this just lends to my points in the first episodes discussing the importance of having an insider in a strong market, and that Marcel was equipped with the ability to understand, appeal to, and connect to a wider range of perspectives simply by being Swiss." So Marcel took that short 12-hour journey back to, as my nephew calls it, Swiss land, and shared with his importer the new house blend. The response he got was, "This is pretty damn good. Why don't you want to share this with the rest of Switzerland?" And at first, Marcel thought, how the hell am I supposed to do that? I have to be in my store. I'm the only one here. I don't have time to go knocking on doors. But our Swiss importer, he did have time, and he had a team. And that single question got Marcel thinking, maybe I should also put my marketing degree to good use and design a brand around this. And from a humidor no bigger than the size of an American walk-in pantry, ADV was born. From a 5,000 Explorer order, sans the box press, of course, Adventura the Explorer was released into Switzerland. From there, Germany called, then Serbia, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands, and the following year, Marcel returned to the Dominican Republic with a new idea, a full brand plan, and so did Henderson. And ADV is really a reflection of how it all started. Not just a fun story of 1492, Christopher Columbus, pirates, and pastimes, but the origin of tobacco, from the old world to the new, and the Swiss guy coming from the old world to the new. I'll wait until I have Marcel as a featured guest to dive into those fun details. But when you find yourself lost in a story without words, there is something to be said about recognition of artisanship, no matter what language you speak. The more we develop, expand, and sharpen our skills, the more fluent we become. This is the power of translation with a cigar as the medium. These moments and experiences are what makes this industry so interesting. So, as we wrap up today's episode of Puffery, a fresh perspective on why Adventura, I hope you've gained some insight into the roots and rituals from one side of the equation. Cigars have a unique way of transcending boundaries and bringing together people from all walks of life and corners of the globe. They create a shared experience, a moment of pause and connection, where the focus shifts from differences to the appreciation of craftsmanship, flavor, and the stories behind each of the blends. And next time, we'll take our time untying the Dominican Passion side of the equation and how it gives just the right amount of balance and nuance to the brand and experience. So thanks again for joining me on this treasure hunt. And until next time, may your cigars be smooth, your moments intentional, and your perspective ever fresh.